What if I told you that the most dangerous war you'll ever fight is happening right now? Not in the world, not between nations, not between people, but within your own mind. What if I said that enemy soldiers live quietly as your thoughts? That they whisper self-doubt and confusion right beneath the surface of your daily life, but you call it personality? That they lie to you every single day, and you believe them? Because these lies don't show up holding weapons. They show up wrapped in memory, emotion, shame, and habit. These are the mind traps, invisible prisons, psychological mirages, cognitive distortions. Whatever name you give them, one truth remains. They distort your reality and trick you into thinking that your pain is your nature, but it's not. And if you don't learn to see these traps for what they are, you won't just suffer. You'll suffer silently. You'll sabotage love, purpose, healing, the things you're craving, and then you'll blame yourself for not being strong enough to be happy. But stay with me through this entire video and something in you will break, something that was always supposed to. These are the 14 poisonous thought patterns every human falls into, and the beginning of how to climb out. Let me ask you this. Have you ever woken up with a heavy chest and no clear reason why? Have you ever received 5 compliments and 1 subtle critique, and somehow the critique became gospel? Have you ever convinced yourself that you're unlovable because one person walked away? These aren't random thoughts. These are echoes of internal scripts laced with distorted logic. They sound like you because they live inside you, but make no mistake, these distortions don't reveal the truth about the world. They reveal something more vulnerable, the way your past has shaped how you survive the world. Legendary psychologist Aaron Beck, father of cognitive therapy, alongside David Burns and others, once mapped these out, and today we're peeling them back layer by layer. There's a trap in your mind that says unless you're perfect, you're nothing. All or nothing thinking, the black and white lens that makes you either a success or a failure, an angel or a villain, perfect or pathetic. It's not just a cliche, it's a shield. Because somewhere deep in you, there's a voice that can't make peace with imperfection. Carl Jung would call this shadow inflation. You disown the middle truths of who you are and split your identity into extremes, exalting one and exiling the other. And the exile doesn't disappear, it festers. So you force yourself into unrealistic ideals, and every time you fall short, and you always will, the self-hatred deepens. But here's the truth. Your humanity isn't found in being either or. It's found in the beautifully broken and honest space of both and. You're both a work in progress and complete as you are. You're both strong and hurting. You're both deeply flawed and fundamentally worthy. Then there's overgeneralization, the trap that takes one moment and lets it define the rest. You get rejected, and now I always ruin things. You didn't make it once, now I'll never succeed. But this isn't logic. It's trauma whispering through memory. Alfred Adler believed that early experiences shape core beliefs, an unchallenged inner rulebook we carry into adulthood. That one time you felt small becomes I am small. That one failure becomes I am failure. And every new experience is filtered through that emotional lens until you lose the ability to see today for what it really is. Overgeneralization doesn't predict the future. It just repeats the past until your soul packs up and says, there's no point. And once you rely on distortion to interpret the world, you start missing what matters most. Enter mental filtering, the silent thief of joy. The part of you that stares straight into a room full of love and only sees the one cold shoulder. 10 small wins? Irrelevant. One mistake? That's your identity. It's like your mind walks through a blooming field and only picks out the weeds. Erich Fromm would call this a symptom of a person disconnected from being and enslaved to having. You don't see reality. You see what your fear is hungry to notice. Your mind becomes a suspicion machine, constantly scanning for what's wrong, never resting in what's right. But joy and fulfillment are not found in perfection. They begin when you notice what's already good, even when it's not enough. And then just when something good actually does happen, the next distortion steps in to ruin it. You disqualify the positive. They only said that because they feel bad for me. Sure, I succeeded, but it was just luck. You diminish your light because deep down you don't feel entitled to shine. Maybe you were taught to earn love through pain, hard work, sacrifice. So when love or success arrives freely, you assume it must be fake. Freud might say your superego is punishing you for stepping outside the comfort zone of suffering. But no, my friend, you don't have to justify your joy. You're allowed to feel proud, allowed to keep the compliment. You're not an imposter. You're a soul starved of validation, finally being fed. Another voice arrives. This time it knows how to sound like certainty. You start predicting the worst, fortune-telling. Or even worse, you think you can read minds. She didn't say hi. She must think I'm ugly. This interview is going to be a disaster. I just know it. Viktor Frankl, survivor of Auschwitz and soul whisperer of suffering, taught us the power of the space between stimulus and response. That space is choice. But when you jump to conclusions, you collapse that space. You skip curiosity and jump into condemnation. You don't question fear, you obey it. But here's what no one tells you. Your assumptions are usually just your trauma rehearsing itself. Stay with the discomfort long enough to ask, what else could this mean? And you'll discover the future isn't written in your fear unless you let it be. The mind loves to dramatize. So of course it magnifies the things that hurt and minimizes the things that heal. A single awkward conversation becomes proof you're unacceptable. A life milestone you worked years for? Just not a big deal. This distortion is anxiety's oldest tool. Keep you so focused on the disaster that you forget the dignity of your own achievement. It's also a form of self-sabotage. Perkins once said we minimize our triumphs not because they're small, but because they're sacred. We don't know how to live life that doesn't revolve around suffering. But suffering isn't a job, it's a chapter. And if every little wound becomes a tragedy, you're not healing, you're rehearsing victimhood. Speaking of rehearsals, your emotions perform 1,000 shows a day. And sometimes emotional reasoning convinces you that just because you feel something, it must be true. I feel unwanted, so I must be unwanted. I feel lost, so life must be meaningless. But emotions are not facts. They are temporary sensations colored by age-old beliefs and unprocessed wounds. Carl Jung said that emotions are the language of the unconscious. They point to something, but they are not conclusions. Learn to hold your feelings like you would hold a crying child, not as gospel, but as guidance. And in doing that, you return your mind to its throne. Then we come to should statements, the tyranny of the internal taskmaster. I should be further by now. I should never feel this way. I should be happy. These invisible demands create constant guilt, and guilt drains energy from healing. Maslow warned us about this urge to live according to other people's values. Every should is a leash, and you are not a pet of perfection. Try this instead. Replace should with could. Watch how possibility replaces pressure. Could is freedom. Could is choice. Could is you evolving on your terms. But distortions don't stop there. They get nastier. They begin to reshape your entire identity. You label yourself. Not I failed, but I'm a loser. Not I'm struggling, but I'm disturbed. The inner critic turns from messenger to jailer. Jung believed that the ego fears the unknown more than it fears suffering, so it latches on to labels for control. But labels become cages. The moment you assign yourself a name based on pain, you kill off the version of you that could have grown from it. You're not your worst moment. You're not even your best. You are the space between and beyond all of it. Still with me? Then feel this one. Personalization. Someone's angry. Must be your fault. Partner's sad. It's because of you. Someone leaves. I wasn't lovable enough. This isn't empathy. It's distortion. Adler told us many suffer because they confuse their sphere of influence with their sphere of responsibility. You are not responsible for how others feel. You're only responsible for how you show up. Carrying everyone's burdens doesn't make you noble. It burns you out and keeps them from growing. Don't confuse self-sacrifice with love. Love without boundaries is abuse of yourself. Control fallacies come next. Some wander around feeling completely helpless, believing the world controls them, external control. Others believe they must control everything, including how others feel, internal control. Both are illusions. Maslow argued that humans reach self-actualization not through control, but through alignment with the truth. You're not a puppet, but you're not the god of the universe either. The sweet spot is agency, the courage to influence what you can, and the wisdom to release what you can't. Let me pause and ask you something. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, life just won't give you a break? Like you've done everything right and still ended up broken, alone, or empty? That's the fallacy of fairness, the aching belief that life owes you something if you play by the rules, that hard work guarantees reward, that good people always win. But Viktor Frankl would call this the trap of expectation. In the darkest of places, he didn't survive by insisting that life be fair. He survived by insisting that he would still choose meaning, no matter how merciless the storm. If you tie your inner peace to external fairness, you'll roller coaster through joy and resentment. But if you root your soul in the pursuit of meaning, in love, depth, honesty, you become unshakable. Then there's the one that ruins relationships faster than any other. The need to be right, always, even if it costs intimacy. Proof over peace. Jung said the ego resists annihilation, and nothing annihilates the ego like being wrong. But here's a truth that will save your relationships. Being wrong doesn't make you small. Being stubborn does. The desire to be right isn't wisdom, it's fear wearing glasses. True intelligence is not about knowing everything, but about being brave enough to be humbled. And finally, the heaven's reward fallacy. The addiction to self-sacrifice. The distorted belief that the more you suffer, the more life will bless you later. But suffering is not currency, and pain doesn't purchase paradise. Frankl taught us that we don't earn meaning through pain, we find meaning within it. You do not deserve pain for being kind. You do not become worthy through burnout. Rest is not a betrayal of the mission. It is the mission. You are allowed to feel joy now, not just after your work is done, but because you exist. If you've made it this far, I want to know who truly understood the message. Leave the phrase, "I am not my thoughts," in the comments, and let's see how many of you really grasp what it means to reclaim the throne of your mind, to be both the warrior and the witness. If this video made you question something, if it made you see things from a different angle, like and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, the mind is the battlefield. Freedom begins from within.